Hi, this is Dr. Homer Lim, and you're listening to your Holistic Health Podcast. Welcome again for our weekly talk here at Akesis Holistic Health. So this afternoon, we're gonna be talking about thyroid disorders. A lot of people have thyroid problems. A lot of doctors too are not aware of the issues with regards to thyroid problems. No? So as you may not know, your thyroid is on the front of your neck around here. So a lot of women, especially those in the provinces, those who live in far-flung areas wherein there's not much supply of iodine, they do develop what we call goiter, which is an enlargement of the thyroid. This is due to the deficiency of iodine. But we don't really see this nowadays. But if you would recall, or if you would have read before, salt used to be a form of payment. So salary is from the word salt. So in the ancient times, salt was expensive as gold, because especially those living in high up mountains, wherein salt is very limited, a lot of people, especially women, do develop what we call goiter or an enlarged thyroid. But nowadays, because of what we put in our salt, which is iodized salt or what we call iodized rock salt, so because we want to prevent iodine deficiency. So as you may know, iodine deficiency can lead to not only goiter, but it can also lead to thyroid hormone deficiency, right? So even among children, young children growing up, if they have iodine deficiency, they have a poorer performance in school, okay? They don't grow as tall as they're supposed to be. So these are some of the effects of thyroid hormone deficiency among young kids. So even as a child, it's very important to have enough iodine in their diet because of the need, okay? Essential mineral for thyroid hormone synthesis. Okay, so what does the thyroid hormone do? Why do we need thyroid hormone? The thyroid hormone is your regulator. It's a master regulator. So it regulates your metabolism. It regulates your body temperature. It boosts the effects of your other hormones. So your thyroid hormone is called a master regulator because it really regulates your metabolism. So a lot of women do have issues with low thyroid hormone, okay, even though they are not aware. So what are the signs of low thyroid hormones? If your body temperature is always low, okay, especially in the morning when you wake up, if you check your oral body temperature, it's always below 37 degrees, then you might have some form of thyroid hormone deficiency already. Also, if you eat a lot of foods that are high in bromates, like in bread, or if you're exposed to too much fluoride, which if you brush your teeth, you use a fluoride toothpaste. So these are some of the blocks the absorption of iodine. So if you take in a lot of bromides, which you get from flour, enriched flour, or you use fluoride toothpaste, okay, they can block your iodine absorption. So it's very important not to use fluoride toothpaste because that's one of the things that can cause iodine deficiency, which later on might develop thyroid hormone deficiency. Okay, so what are other things that you might feel aside from having thyroid hormone deficiency, aside from low body temperature? Even though you're dieting, you're fasting, you're exercising, you're still not losing weight. So this could be due to thyroid hormone deficiency, right? So what other things aside from that? Also, those who have, you start having hair fall, okay? Especially if the corner of the eyebrow starts losing more hair than in the center, that could be a thyroid hormone deficiency. So a lot of women do have thyroid hormone deficiency. So one of the things that also very common in women with PCOS is they also have what we call thyroid hormone deficiency. So that's why, a lot of women with PCOS, okay, who have poor menstrual cycle or prolonged menstrual cycle, they cannot lose weight. It's also because of some form of thyroid hormone deficiency. So suggestion for especially women, if you feel that you want to exercise and then you're dieting and you're still not losing weight, So maybe you can add in some iodine into your diet. In what form? Kelp. Kelp is a good way of increasing your iodine in the body. Okay, I would not suggest taking what we call the iodized salt or those that are very fine salt. So actually, they found out those who are taking this form of iodized salt, the one that is very fine, actually do develop goiter also, or thyroid cysts. So it's very important to use the natural salt, which is rock salt. So we would prefer to use iodized rock salt, okay? Because rock salt is not just sodium chloride. Rock salt could be sodium chloride, magnesium, potassium chloride. So all the other minerals, as compared to the iodized salt that's very fine, that's only sodium iodide, which is not a natural form of mineral that we take in. So it has to be sodium chloride, and then they add in a bit of iodine, so it becomes iodized rock salt. So that's what we would prefer over the very fine sodium iodide. So now, aside from those who have what we call low thyroid hormone, there are also women who might develop what we call hyperthyroid. Hyperthyroid is the opposite of those who have low thyroid. So hyperthyroid usually would have, they could not sleep, they have high metabolic rate, therefore they lose weight faster than, even though they're eating more than they usually do, they keep on losing weight. Their eyes start bulging out. So these are some signs of hyperthyroidism. For this disorder, it's very important to control the hyperthyroidism, because if you don't catch them early, or if you disregard them, your heart will be the one that's going to have a hard time as you become older. So it's very, very important for women who have hyperthyroid, okay, or what we call Graves' disease, go to your doctors so you can control that hyperthyroidism. No? So there are a bit number of women who do have Graves' disease. So it's very, very important for these women to seek consult as soon as possible, because we don't want their heart to become damaged. Okay, so I've seen a bit of that, so that's preventable. So aside from those who have hypothyroidism and hyperthyroidism, there's another form of disease, what we call autoimmune thyroid disorder, which is I think one of the most common causes of hypothyroidism, which is autoimmune, meaning your body is attacking your thyroid hormone. Okay, so there are women and men, okay, who develop autoimmune thyroiditis. So the actually attacks your thyroid hormone. So eventually, with continued attack on your thyroid hormone, your thyroid gland, your body is not able to produce enough thyroid hormone. So for this group of people, okay, they, aside from taking a bit of iodine, they need also a bit of vitamin D and a bit of selenium to lessen the autoimmune thyroid disorder. So if you or your loved one has been diagnosed with what we call Hashimoto's thyroiditis or autoimmune thyroiditis, so what you can add in is your vitamin D as well as selenium. Selenium around 100 to 150 micrograms of selenium. Vitamin D 5,000 IU a day. That will help with the autoimmune thyroid disorders. Okay? Now for women or men who have low thyroid hormone, okay, a lot of people actually have low thyroid hormones. They're not just aware of it. But if they do take their body temperature, you will note that they do have a bit lower body temperature. So when we track the body temperature of men and women from the 1950s, 1960s, 70s, 80s up to the present time, they notice the body temperature is slowly coming down. So I'm sure now when you go to the malls or to the shops, they take body temperature. It's always 36 point something, 36.7. It's hardly above 37. So these are one sign of could be a thyroid problem. But again, normally when you go to the mall, right, if your body temperature is, when they scan you, it's 37, they think, oh, they have to scan again because they might think that you have fever, right? So that's funny. But normally our body temperature should be at least 37. Okay, if it's 37.5, then that's fine. But normally it should be at least should reach 37 degrees for your body to function optimally. Okay, so it's very, very important for your body to have a body temperature of 37 degrees at least in order for it to function normally. Okay, so Miss Marilyn was saying she's suffering from hyperthyroidism. So if you do have hyperthyroidism, of course, you have to treat it to avoid affecting your heart. Okay? So again, aside from the body temperature, your hair. Okay? A lot of women suddenly have falling hair. They become a bit heavy and they would blame on menopause, but actually it's not menopause. It's actually a combination of menopause and a thyroid hormone disorder. Okay? Now I will read some questions from our listeners and answer them in this segment. Miss Laura is asking, can people with hyperthyroidism go to hot spring or sauna? They can, provided that their hyperthyroidism is controlled. Okay? You're going to be having high body temperature and then you're going to have a very fast heart rate. If you go to sauna or hot spring, it will become worse. So it has to make sure first that you control the hyperthyroidism. So Miss Mary is asking, what are the symptoms of autoimmune thyroiditis? So the first few months of an autoimmune thyroiditis would be a hyperthyroidism. So you start losing weight, you cannot sleep, your heart rate is very fast, and then later on you develop hypothyroidism, which is you become slow, you cannot get out of bed, your hair starts falling, so you have poor memory. These are signs of hypothyroidism. The reason this happens with autoimmune thyroiditis is because initially when the thyroid cells are destroyed, it releases thyroid hormone, okay? But as your number of thyroid hormones becomes less, the production of thyroid hormone becomes less also, therefore you develop hypothyroidism, okay? Okay, so Miss Amelie is saying that she has hyperthyroidism and she's taking a certain thyroid drug. Okay. Miss Marilyn Abanyo is saying that she has swelling of the eyelid, bulging of eyes. So that's what we call Graves' thyroid disorder, hyperthyroidism. It's an autoimmune disorder also, wherein the lymph glands behind the eye is actually pushing your eyeball out. So of course, again, we need to control that to lessen the bulging of the eye. Okay, Miss Laura is asking, what if you have a very narrow range of temperature tolerance? Which condition would the person fall? Of course, people who are, it's really both ways. So people who are afraid of the cold, so that means that they might have hypothyroidism. On the other end, those who are afraid of being in a very hot place because they're already sweating, they sweat a lot even at normal temperature, then that they might have hyperthyroidism. So again, it's it could be extreme. So hypothyroid people hate the cold, hyperthyroid people hate the heat. Okay, so Miss Mary is asking, normally what blood tests to check for thyroid hormone? You actually check normally you check your thyroid stimulating hormone, your free T3 and free T4, which is the free form of T4 and free form of T3. Okay, and then from there we can see if you are hypothyroid or hyperthyroid. There are other tests to check if you have a hypothyroid due to autoimmune disorders. Okay, but again, I would suggest you visit your doctor for those other tests. Okay, Miss Amelie said doctors said that she has to avoid seafood because of its high iodine. Again, it depends. If you're hyperthyroid, then you might not want to have too much iodine. Okay, if you are hypothyroid, then you have to take in a bit of iodine. Okay, but normally we do not recommend taking in seafood as a source of iodine. The reason for that, because a lot of seafoods have high levels of mercury, which in turn actually can cause hypo or hyper, or what we call autoimmune thyroiditis. So as for iodine, it's better to take iodized rock salt or kelp rather than taking in seafood, which might have high levels of mercury. Okay, so again, just to repeat, aside from iodine, I would suggest for those who have thyroid issues, kelp would be a very good supplement. Some vitamin D, okay, as well as some vitamin D, as well as some selenium, because selenium helps in converting T4 to T3. Okay? So Miss Amelin's showing her blood test. Okay? So TSH is it's really high, 0.01. Okay? So that means that we know that you are hyperthyroid. So you have to make sure that we control that so that you won't have heart problems later on in life. Radiation exposure. Okay, so there's what we call radioactive iodine. That's the radiation exposure that can cause thyroid problems. Okay, so there are many forms of radiation. You have radiation from cell phones, from electrical system, from microwave. So there are many forms, but for the thyroid specifically, it's really the radioactive iodine that may cause thyroid problems. So usually in people who are exposed to too much radioactive iodine, they will give potassium iodide, right? Because potassium iodide can help block off the radioactive iodine. Okay, Mr. Al-Sharif is asking, when do we need B complex? So for thyroid disorder, it's not a bad idea to take a multivitamin supplement together with your iodine, okay, if you do have thyroid hormone deficiency. Okay, but we do see a lot of people who have thyroid hormone deficiency. Okay, so it's one of the easiest hormone deficiencies to treat is really thyroid hormone. Okay, so once you correct thyroid hormones, other hormones can correct itself quite well. Okay, thank you for your questions. Thank you for sharing your blood test, Miss Amelin. Okay, so Miss Mary is asking, is it true women with untreated hypothyroidism has higher risk of birth defects? Children, yes. Children might develop congenital hypothyroidism. Might, okay? It's not hard and fast rule, okay? It might. Okay, so Miss Marin Abanyo is asking, her blood exam showed normal blood results and therefore she's taking selenium at the same time. What other vitamins to lessen bulging? Selenium and vitamin D. But selenium very important because it will help with your autoimmune disorder. Okay, and vitamin D. So thank you again. I'll see you again. Bye. Thank you for listening to your Holistic Health Podcast. This is Dr. Homer Lim. Now, if you do have questions about your health or you would like to request topics for our next podcast, please do message us at our FB page or Instagram at Akesis Holistic Health, or you may visit our website at www.akesisholistic.com. Thank you again, and please do come back for our next episodes.